Hi everyone, welcome to the pre-event interview series for World Hydrogen Derivatives. Today I'm joined by Nihad Kasraoui, Head of Process Engineering from Metafuels. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Nara. It's a pleasure talking to you today.
So I'm going to just have a quick chat with you today to kind of understand your thoughts on the current state of play for the derivatives markets, and hear your thoughts on maybe some of the challenges that you're experiencing at the moment too. So I'm going to kick off with kind of a more general question. So I wanted to ask how you see the derivatives market evolving over the next 5 to 10 years, and what do you think the key drivers are that will be shaping this evolution?
hmm Thank you very much, Nara, for the question. And it's a pleasure participating in the hydrogen derivative market for the second time. I think that the hydrogen derivative market is witnessing a great momentum and will continue to have considerable growth in the future for several reasons. Some of them are very obvious, like the blending mandate that we're witnessing in the EU, but in non-EU countries as well. And of course, energy security goals, diversifying energy sources, the awareness of utilizing green fuels, but as well for sustainability requirements, right? Because the
Yeah.
raison d'être of renewable fuels is to promote sustainability and to protect the environment.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, and so kind of leading off of that, I wanted to touch on what policy and regulatory support is kind of required. So um, I think there's been a lot of changes in policy across the world in the last few months. So I wanted to ask what you see are the most, what areas have the most room for improvement?
Mhm. Yeah, so there are a lot of the regulatory framework is very active in the terms of sustainability. And for instance, I work in Metafuels, where we're developing a technology to convert methanol to sustainable aviation fuel.
Mm.
But we always think that the market is already there because of the blending mandate that is emphasized, and it
Yeah.
will continue growing. For instance, aviation fuel will be blended up to X% as per the EU Commission regulation
Mhm.
by 2030, and then by 2050, and until we get to the net zero target, right? Um, and when we talk about the usage of new fuels or renewable fuels, we think about different items. We think about economic viability, we think about technical safety, and then sustainability goal. So we need to have a nice compromise of all these three factors to make it bankable, to make it feasible, to make it affordable. Because if aviation fuel tomorrow is much more expensive than conventional aviation fuel, then it would not be very attractive from economics perspective. But we're
Yeah.
working on that, and I think that technologists, operators, licensors, renewable fuel producers, they're working on optimizing their process, increasing selectivity towards hard-to-abate sectors like aviation, and
Yeah.
make it affordable by optimizing the process, the efficiency, the handling, the storage, and so on. So
Yeah.
I think that the policy and regulatory framework is really helping in shaping this new market in a
Mhm.
very nice way, putting all the key stakeholders together,
Mhm.
opening communication and sharing knowledge.
Yeah.
And I think that this is one of the goals as well of the World Hydrogen Conference, because you put in touch all of those technologists and decision makers,
Yeah.
so that we can debate and brainstorm and have a clear plan for the future.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think that leads on quite nicely to my next question. I wanted to talk about the market dynamics and what kind of opportunities exist there. So you've obviously mentioned a lot of key stakeholders. So I wanted to ask you what sectors or industries you see as the most impactful in actually driving the demand for these derivatives. And you mentioned collaboration as well. So how do these stakeholders need to collaborate to unlock the
Yeah.
opportunities?
This is a very good question, Nara, because I think that there are some sectors that will be driving the hydrogen derivative market more than other sectors,
Mhm.
obviously, because of the need, because these are hard to abate sectors
Yeah.
in decarbonizing. I would say, for instance, maritime, the fertilizer sector, and as well aviation. I think
Mm.
there will be at least driving the early growth of the hydrogen derivative market, right? For instance, in the aviation sector, I can tell you that there is a lot of momentum. There's a lot of work behind. We're working on analyzing different renewable fuel sources,
Mm.
not only physical properties, but fit for purpose property, thermal stability, and many, many other things. But we're looking as well at how we can optimize the CapEx and OpEx, how we can make the projects bankable, how we
Mhm.
can even increase the synergies with upstream services or
Yeah.
upstream processes like methanol production and so on. So it's really an ecosystem that needs to be worked together, that needs to be really optimized in a global way. We need to have like, it's like those small pixels that you'd see in the screen. You have really to step a little bit back and
Yeah.
look at the whole picture to make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, and then kind of like flipping the conversation a little bit. We've been speaking from producer side so far, but when you've mentioned these hard to abate sectors and industries like the aviation sector, what role do you think these derivatives can play in actually helping them achieve their sustainability and decarbonization goals?
Yeah. In terms of sustainability, the hydrogen derivatives are going to play a pivotal role. We can't decarbonize hard-to-abate
Mm,
sectors like aviation without the use of, for instance, green methanol or e-methanol or biomethanol, for instance. And there are many others that some of them have more advantages than others, and some of them are like have more interesting and benefits than other. Um,
yeah, sure. Restart.
this maybe I will start again.
I can ask the question again. So,
Thank you.
just to kind of switch gears a little bit and look at this from the other perspective, when thinking about hard to abate sectors or the aviation sector specifically, what role do you think hydrogen derivatives can play in actually helping them decarbonize and meet their sustainability goals?
Yes, so I think that the hydrogen derivatives are going to have and to play a pivotal role in decarbonizing hard-to-abate sectors like aviation, for instance. Um, I always think that what you can electrify, you can electrify. So
Mm,
certain byproducts and certain products that we use on a daily basis are going to have a decline demand, right? But for instance, aviation, at least in the short and midterm,
mhm,
you cannot decarbonize by electrification. So
okay,
the use of synthetic fuels, the use of biofuels is very, very important in
mhm,
decarbonizing this sector. Especially that think that you want something that is fast to be implemented easily without a huge revamping in the existing fleet, using the existing aircraft engines without doing big changes. So for that, you really need a technical team, you need commercial, you need economics, you need regulatory framework all together, analyzing and looking at the technical safety of these new fuels and how you
mhm.
can blend them, how for them to have this drop in fuel specification and quality.
Mhm, mhm. Okay, fantastic. So, the final thing that I wanted to talk about, obviously, you'll be joining us as one of our expert speakers, in just under a month. Very excited to kind of hear from you, and you'll be speaking on a panel that will be looking at aviation mandates. So, I don't know if there was anything that you wanted to share ahead of that, or give us a little bit of a sneak peek into what you would like to kind of discuss.
Yeah, it's very exciting to join that panel, especially that I've been working in the aviation and in the jet fuel field for the last maybe 6, 7, 8 years.
Mhm,
I think that this comes in a really good moment because we have recently participated in the ASTM conference on aviation fuel
mhm,
in Brussels, and the conference have like brought many different stakeholders that they work in aviation, looking at
mhm,
technical safety, but looking as well at sustainability and emphasizing on how important the key stakeholders should talk, should
mhm,
communicate, should share knowledge, and so on. I think that the most exciting thing of the panel is how do we see the mandate executed,
mhm.
how it is feasible, how it can be how it's possible to make it happen. Because at the
Yeah.
end, it's a target. It's a
Mm,
very optimistic target, but it's totally achievable if we
yeah.
do the right plan, if we plan ahead, if we, as I said, optimize, as I said before, if we optimized the whole ecosystem together, I
Mhm,
think that
mm.
it's possible to do it. I'm very optimistic about the aviation sector and about
Yeah.
the use of renewable fuels in decarbonizing this field.
Yeah, I think when thinking about these green fuels, SAF is definitely one of the most promising and exciting spaces at the moment. And it's nice to hear from industry that there's a lot of optimism surrounding it. So, um, thank you so much, Nihad. I'm really looking forward to meeting you in Amsterdam. So, for anybody who's wondering, we're going to be running World Hydrogen Derivatives on June the 24th and 25th. And we'll hear from a fantastic lineup of speakers just like Nihad. So thank you so much for all your time
Thank you
today.
very much, Nara. Thank you. It was a
Bye.
pleasure.